Hey guys, welcome back to Doing It DIY. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Alice and I'm so glad to have you as part of the Doing It DIY family. Today I have two easy Dollar Tree and Dollar General DIYs that are farmhouse inspired that I hope you're going to love. Everything you need to complete these projects is listed in the description box below. Let's go ahead and get into project number one, which is this super easy home sign. It's so simple. Everything you need is on the screen. We are going to start by taking this windmill welcome sign and removing everything but the actual windmill. And then we're going to take, I used a Valentine's Day sign because it has the grooves in it that looks like wooden slats, and I really like that. And we're going to remove that metal heart. And then I decided to tear the paper off as well, just to give me a better, more even surface to work on. And once you get that paper started, I started at the bottom, you can't really see that. It really just peels straight off, so I did that on all three. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take some apple barrel white paint, and I am going to give this a couple of coats, letting it dry in between. You can really see the grooves in the sign while you have the white paint on, and that's great. That's what I really wanted to do. We're going to go ahead and distress it some in a minute and kind of make those stand out more. So a couple of coats of white paint, let that dry. Then we're going to use a combination of these three paints, and I have them in the description box, and we are just going to go ahead and do a little bit of distressing, making sure you kind of focus inside those grooves because you want to be able to see some separation. The reason I use this sign is because I like those grooves there, so I wanted to be able to see that. So we're just going to use a dry brush. I use the same ratty old brush every single time I do this, and I used a heavy hand, which you can definitely see, and I do because it's a lot of distressing that ends up on my sign. I do go back with my white once that has all dried and tone that down a whole lot. And then I'm going to print out in some vinyl on my Cricut the letters H, M, and E, and I just used Times New Roman font, and I used 4x4 for the size. If you wanted to hand letter these, you definitely could. I chose to do it on vinyl, and I regret that because I'm using Cricut vinyl, premium vinyl, permanent vinyl. I had such a hard time getting them on. I had a hard time getting them to stick. I ended up having to go over it with some matte Mod Podge to get them to stay. So do whatever you want here. It's totally up to you. You can definitely hand letter if you don't have a Cricut. And once you have those on, you're just going to go ahead and take that windmill and add a little bit of hot glue to all the points that are going to touch the board, and then just go ahead and hold that down for a second and let that get a good bond. That's super easy, nothing hard about any of this so far. I love the way the sign turns out too. So I'm going to take a little bit of that ribbon that I showed you a few videos ago. I believe it was my first Easter video. I'll link that up above for you. And I'm going to make a super easy little bow. In that video, I did also show you how I found out how to make that bow. So go watch that video if you want to know how to do the bow. I ended up using just a little bit of a beaded garland that I had made a while back to use as the hanger. Unlike other times that I have used a beaded garland, this is the actual hanger, so I'm going to go ahead and add a whole lot of hot glue, and then I'm going to also reinforce it with some of that, just a couple little strips of that same ribbon so that it doesn't go anywhere. You of course can make that into a more decorative garland and then do a hanger with some jute twine or nautical rope down a little bit further. Totally up to you. This is pretty sturdy because I use so much hot glue and that ribbon over top. The ribbon is super great quality. I got this at Walmart. It was in their Easter section and I love it. It's this sage green and not really cream, but a natural color. I don't know. I love it. It's beautiful and I'm using it as many times as I can recently. So that's all there is to it. I hope you guys like this super easy home sign. It was so fun to make. Next up, we have project number 2. I have seen these being used all over the place, and this is my take on it. We are going to start by taking a piece of poster board from the Dollar Tree and some Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant and just covering the entire piece of poster board. We are going to do a faux galvanized metal, galvanized steel. It's super easy to do. It's one of my favorite treatments, and it's totally easy. So we're just going to, like I said, put one coat of this Elephant chalk paint from Waverly all over the poster board. Do not worry if there are streaks. Do not worry if it's not coated perfectly. That is not going to matter in the end, I promise you. And then we're going to let that dry. And we're going to take these little yard stakes. These are from the Dollar General. My Dollar General still does have those. They're only $1. So definitely if you want to make this, go and check out your Dollar General and see if they still have them. And we're just going to bend those stakes back and forth and remove them. They come off super easy. We're going to remove the tags, and then we're also going to remove the little hanger that is at the top, and those just pull right through with no problems at all. I love these. These are so cute, and for $1, you cannot beat that. And you know, they're actually metal. They're not plastic, so I loved that about them. And then we're going to go ahead and take some Apple Barrel white paint, and we're just going to give those a couple good coats. We're mainly looking to cover up the black lettering. I like it. It's cute, but I wanted something a lot more simple because if you know me, I'm constantly telling you that my style is very simple, and while it's cute, I wanted to do it my way. So and again, you're going to want to give it a couple coats just to make sure that you're covering up those lettering, that black lettering, and let that dry. Now we're going to take 3 8x10 stretch canvas frames from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to use an X-Acto knife and remove the canvas from the frame. I did not choose to tear out my canvas because sometimes I do use those for other things. So I just ran my X-Acto knife right around the edge to pull that canvas off with as little damage as possible. And then I went ahead and took all of the canvas off around the frame. Simple as that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I switched back to my old standard, which is Apple Barrel Brown Oxide and Jet Black, a little bit of water, and we're making a faux stain. I will say that I don't know if it's the frames, I don't know if it's the faux stain, but it doesn't take it very well, certain parts of these canvas frames. So just keep that in mind. You might want to try to paint them instead or use an actual stain. It could just also be the wood from these frames, but it didn't take it very well, and you will see in the end some of the parts are lighter than others, and it's not because I didn't go over them. I did several times. It just didn't take paint that well, so. And now we're going to go ahead and go back to that poster board, and we're going to take some Folk Art metallic paint in the color Gunmetal Gray and just one of those cheap little makeup sponge. This one came from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to apply that all over the poster board on top of that elephant. And you'll see, it's very streaky with the color underneath. That does not matter. You're not going to see that in the end. You just want to kind of dab it all over. You don't want it all so thick and on top of each other that you can't see any of the gray through it, but you do want to be able to connect it a little bit and have a little bit of, you see how I'm doing it. Don't listen to what I'm saying, just watch how I'm doing it. Once that dries, we're going to go ahead and cut the top off that sponge, and we're going to use some Apple Barrel sterling silver and do the exact same treatment over the top. This creates a really, really, a really close replica of some galvanized steel, and it's so easy to do. It's one of my favorite treatments, like I said, and it's just easy, and that's what it looks like. It totally looks like metal. I love it. Because I want to make it look a little bit old, maybe a little rusty, I'm going to use my favorite paint to do that, which is Apple Barrel Chocolate Bar. And you can see that I'm just dabbing it here and there with one of those makeup sponges. And then I'm going over with the last color that I used, which was the sterling silver, to kind of tone it down a little bit. We don't want it to look like it just rusted, and it's all right there. We want it to look old and weathered. And this is a very easy way and a very awesome paint to do that with. It's the one I always use, and it works great. All right, so once we have that done, we're gonna go ahead, and our frames are 10 inches at the longest part. So we're just gonna use the entire little ruler here, which is 12 inches, and that's what we're going to measure. We're gonna mark it all the way across our piece of poster board, and this is not a full piece of poster board, so I was able to get 2 sections, 12 inches each, out of the piece of poster board that I had, and it was more than enough to do this project. So we're going to mark it all the way across at the top and the bottom, and then we are just going to separate the 2 of those with our ruler, just like you see me doing. It's super easy. We're just marking them out to make some strips out of this poster board. I was going to have initially use some chicken wire, but I ended up doing this instead, and I think I like it more. So once we have those 2 sections cut or separated in half, we're just going to take our ruler and go all the way down both sides. This is about an inch width, which is what we're looking for, 12 inches long and about an inch wide, and you can see that there. And I went ahead and just took a cutting mat and my X-Acto knife and tried to cut it so that it was perfectly straight, because I'm really bad at cutting straight lines. But it ended up being so much easier just to go ahead and take a pair of scissors and cut the little strips out, which is what I ended up doing. I'm losing my voice. It was super easy. It was a little bit time consuming, of course, but nothing that took, hours or anything like that. We're going to do a faux basket weave technique with these that kind of looks metal. It's really actually very cool. So this is what we have. Once we have those all cut out, we have our strips. We're going to go ahead and take our frames and flip them over on the back, and we're going to start by taking a staple gun and stapling 1 strip on each long end, just like you see me doing here. Make sure you're making it tight. And make sure you're leaving a little overhang on each end. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in with 2 more strips, kind of spacing them out evenly. They don't have to be perfect. Mine never are when I do this, and yours don't have to be either. But you're going to repeat the exact same process here. You're going to use the staple gun, and I left the staple gun and these staples that I use below. They work perfect for this. And then all you're going to do is weave another strip through, just like you see me doing, back and forth, in and out, all the way across, just like this, and we're going to do 4 of those. So you're just going to want to evenly space them, get them to, your desired places, and then you're going to staple those 2 just exactly like you see me doing here. You want to just spread them out evenly. Perfect. And then turn them over and go ahead and staple each one of those just like we did the first 4. And these staples are perfect. They don't go through the front. They hold very well. I've used this technique before with a paint sticks and the strips from the poster board, and it was perfect. I have not had any issues with them. Once you have them all stapled in, you're going to go ahead and take your scissors and just cut off the excess all the way around your frames. Trying to get as close as you can, because of course you're going to be able to see it if it's hanging over the edge. I really love the way this turned out. Like I said, I was going to use chicken wire, and I didn't get any in time, and I had a piece of poster board laying around, and I was like, this will totally work. And I do love the way that it turned out. And there are our little frames. You can see they're not perfect, not by a long shot, but that's okay. And then we're going to go ahead and take our little chicken and our cow and our pig, and those are completely dry, and I'm going to go ahead and put some vinyl on those. Again, I had a little bit of a tough time with this vinyl. I've left that SVG down below. If you want to recreate this, you definitely can. I got them onto my chicken and cow and pig with no problems, but they kind of wanted to come up on me, so I used a little bit of Mod Podge to keep them down. And then at this point, you can either go side by side with the frames, or you can go up and down with the frames. Totally up to you, but we're going to go ahead and hook them together. I'm just using some medium-sized craft sticks from the Dollar Tree some hot glue, and again, some staples. I did staple them together too so that they're very secure and they're not going to come apart. I'm just going to let you watch me do it right now. And there we go. Oh, we're going to staple some more. All right, there we go. Everything's put together. And those are my little cow and chicken and pig that I have Mod Podged the vinyl onto because it was giving me problems tonight. I don't know what. That's fine. We're going to take some apple barrel black paint and another one of those little cosmetic sponges, and we're going to go all the way around the end, all the way around the edge, the outer edge. I was trying to make it kind of look like porcelain, but you can skip this if you want. You can go heavier with the black if you want. You can distress it if you want. Some of that apple barrel chocolate bar would look really pretty here. It would make it look a little rusty. I didn't really want mine to look as much rusty as I wanted them to be very stark white with the black. I think that was needed with all of, you know, everything we have going on with the frames. I think these needed to be very simple, but you're free to do whatever you want here. It's totally up to you. We're going to go ahead and now we're going to attach these to our frames. The cow and the pig are a little wider than our frames, but no worries. All we have to do is just hook those right onto the edges of the frame. The chicken fits perfectly in the middle frame, so you don't have to hook him to the edges. You just want to make sure that you're putting glue wherever your animals are going to touch the frame. Super easy and very self-explanatory. And there they go. I love it. So cute. And then I just took some pop tabs. I saw Heidi Sambal do this, so I thought I'd try it too, and it worked really well. To make a hanger, you can use whatever you want. Some little clawfoot hangers will work. Jute twine will work. I just use these. I put one on each end, and that's really all there is to it. I hope you guys like these projects. I hope you guys find inspiration every time that I post a video. You guys inspire me so much. I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, you guys, bye-bye.